We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets.
I have the body of a weak and feeble woman.
All men are created equal. Because I have a dream.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Hello everybody, welcome to this latest ModsPod. Bit of a curveball today. Not entirely history related, but sort of is. We're going to talk to Harley about fishing.
Yeah, fishing is a subject or thing that I've really enjoyed doing. But it's not just a modern activity, but it's been through the courses of history. And I just really like it because whenever you start to catch a fish, it's like really, really cool, and I really like it.
So quite exciting when you're reeling it in or whatever.
Yeah, especially if it's a big one. In the early beginnings of fishing, it dated about like 40,000 years ago.
40,000 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
So the ancient Egyptians used like woven nets, harpoons and hooks to catch Nile perch, catfish and eels. Ancient Romans used artificial or wood flies to catch trout. In China, writings and painted images refer to fishing with silk line, a hook and a bamboo rod.
So wooden flies, Harley. What's a wooden fly?
A wooden fly is like a lure, but like if it was smaller, and you just chuck it out with loads of line, and you just pull it.
So the fish think that it's
another fish, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then it bites.
And then you just.
So is it presumably at some ancient? When you're talking, did you say Romans have the wooden flies?
Yeah, but
So they
people
have
use
spikes
it
on
now still.
Really?
Yeah.
So do they need to have the hook still?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And normally they're like now they're for catching trout.
Okay. Oh, so I'm not surprised the Chinese are some advanced. Their technology was amazing.
Yeah.
So they're using silk, which is obviously the strongest, I think, pound for pound material, isn't it?
Yeah.
And bamboo?
Yeah, I think the bamboo is there for like more strength with bigger fish.
So is that like one of probably the first rods, if you like? So it looks like a modern rod.
I think it will be more like a pole kind of thing. So because you have poles now, and they're made of like nylon.
All right. Well, tell us about that in a bit then, because my knowledge of fishing is very limited.
Yeah.
I think when I was a kid, I had a net, and you put it in, and you got some minnows or something.
Yeah. I remember doing that.
So my ignorance, I'm looking forward to this episode because I don't know anything. And already it sounds quite fascinating that even back then, 40,000 years, that's blown my head. But I suppose they had to eat. So do you think that was more food related than leisure? Yeah,
because you can't really eat the ones that you catch unless you have a proper license to eat it.
I don't know if they had a license 40,000 years ago, did they?
No, they just caught things.
I suppose someone would have been in charge, because someone would have made money off that, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know that today you need a license in certain lakes, or all lakes to fish, is it?
I think it's, all lakes. You need to get like a day pass to...
Is that so that it sort of maintains the amount of fish in the lake and stuff, so they know what's going?
It's mainly just to like get money from people fishing in the lake, because now you have to put it back in the water.
Oh, okay. So you can't take it home for your tea?
No.
Oh, that sucks a bit.
Yeah. But I mean, you can take pictures with big ones.
So we'll talk about, no doubt, in this, like we'll talk about your first catch and then your biggest catch and things like that. So we've gone China, we've done Rome. What about the Middle Ages and stuff? What was that like?
Part of the Middle Asian diet was fish mainly, and on Fridays.
Was that for that Christianity stuff?
Yeah, mainly Christianity. But when they were like fishing, I think they caught so many fish that there weren't many left to come across, obviously.
That makes sense.
So what some monks do today for some fish ponds, they breed to catch and cook.
Okay.
And because they've breeded it, then you get more fish to be able to eat and catch. And
so sustainable as well.
Yeah.
So they get all the best of it. They get the fun of fishing, and they eat.
And money as well.
Because
they'd probably like sell it and pay people.
I think there's a lot of money. I watched the programme, funny enough, actually, the other day about fish. It was about caviar.
Oh, yeah.
And they said there was a carp or something that's about $8,000 for one big massive thing. And I was like, $8,000
get huge.
So there's clearly money in this, isn't there?
Yeah. You definitely get a lot from a few day passes.
Yeah. I can see why people do it.
Yeah. So the tools that they use then and now, obviously I've told you about the bamboo rods, the wood flies and like nets and all that. But cave paintings at least 1,500 years old show that humans use barb poles as well and spears to hunt for fish. So compared to the rods and reels now, casting and with a rod and reel is a lot easier than having to go underwater and either shoot one of the fish or just stab it. You have to have a lot of you got to be really precise to be able to.
Super skill, isn't it?
Yeah.
I suppose.
I know that they used to do that and they still do that now, but I remember my granddad telling me that, I remember going down into one of the rivers and having to dive and find our food.
Wow. So when they do that, if they're using the spear, do they have to somehow create a diversion or some event somewhere that sends all the fish upstream and then it's easier to shoot and hope for the best, or just have to see with your eye? And
I think mainly you have to see with your eye and just look for them.
Okay.
But I think maybe when they were on the top of the water, they'd probably put some food down for the fish and then take.
So when you say dive, I understand how the spear thing works, and hopefully you get on the end of it.
Yeah.
So when you say they're literally going diving to try and grab some fish with their hands, or have they got nets and things down there?
I think I don't really know, to be honest.
Because that sounds quite fascinating, doesn't it? That they go and dive, and I get all that, and they're looking for a fish.
Yeah.
And then they should grab one as it sort of goes past, and then maybe put it into a little pouch.
I don't think they'd do that. I think it's just mainly spearing, and then they grab it,
right,
bring it to the top, or they put it in a pouch.
Okay, so it's like we're squirming about.
Yeah.
So there's definitely no chance of putting them fish back with a big spear through their bellies.
No, I don't think there is, to be honest.
Would you eat them once you've speared them?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. It's a lot different to modern fishing today, because today's fishing is a lot more advanced with better rods and reels, and some people even go out of the way to get underwater cameras.
Professionals.
Yeah. And if they're in the dark, they'd also get bobbers that light up whenever they go down and up.
Oh, so if you is that night fishing?
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I feel. Have you ever done that?
No.
Do you want to do it?
No.
I think, you say, I guess if you're a fisherman or you like fishing, it wouldn't be boring.
No.
But,
it's really nice doing it because you get to relax and enjoy nature at the same time.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that bit, but at night time, midges everywhere.
Yeah.
Creepy, every noise, you'd be like, what's that?
Yeah. Some people do carp fishing and they do it for a day or two.
Really?
Yeah, and sometimes it can go off at midnight or 4 a.m.
Not surprised. The value of some of them carps. But it's not if you have to put it back that way.
Yeah, you do have to put them back.
No, that's not cool. So when you say modern rods, what's a modern rod? Why is it modern and why is it better?
It's better because it's got more of a flex and it's stronger because it's not made of bamboo and it's it's got a lot more effort put into it.
So the technique of doing it, I've seen fishing on the telly. Do you sometimes think that it might snap or?
I can snap because sometimes you can. It's kind of like a technique because if you cast it, you have to have a certain wade lure or anything, and if you have a really big fish on and you just pull it up all the time and reel it, then it will snap at one point because
so you'll be really patient.
Yeah.
So that struggle, that could be a good 10-15 minute fight.
Yeah, and you can. It does take a bit of time.
So you pull it in a little bit, pull it up just to a bit more, and then let it go again and pull up a little bit more.
You kind of have to tire the fish out, and then once it's tired, you reel it in a bit slower.
That's a good point. So you're tiring the fish out.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense from what I've seen.
Yeah.
Because I suppose you think, don't you, you've hooked it up, get it out, but that's a bit of a that's the fun bit, I guess. Then.
Yeah.
And when you get the tackle, what's it called? That goes in the water.
Oh, lure or tackle mainly.
Tackle, and then you've got it. Have you ever been so disappointed because you thought you had something good and it was...
Yeah, it's because sometimes one of my rods, like, it has a really easy bend in it. So I've got like a tiny little minnow basically, and I thought it was a big fish.
Was that easy to pull that one in though?
To
reel that one in?
I think sometimes like some of the smaller ones are like really big fighters, but if you can tell when you pull out of the water that it's not small and it's not big.
So what is the biggest that you've ever caught?
Oh, my biggest is probably like I don't know how much it weighed, but it was a pretty big pike.
A pike?
Yeah, they're scary because like, they got really sharp teeth.
Have you ever been like nearly bit by one? So I suppose when you're trying to take the hook out, that's the risky bit.
There's a place where you hold it in like the gills and it opens the mouth and you can pull it out, or you can use like pliers or RE forceps.
So the first time you did it, were you like not grossed out about doing that, or were you just sort of straight in?
Grabbing like a fish?
Yeah.
The first time I grabbed a fish was like a little roach, and it was terrible because they're really slimy.
Yeah.
Like they're really, really slimy.
See, that's the thing that would put me off, having to hold a thing, and then while it's all flapping about trying to get the hook out.
Yeah. It does, and also once it's dried, your hands stink of fish, and it's a bit sticky sometimes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll ever will be able to, just to be able to say you've done it, to eat something that you've caught? Is it like, I know you're saying that you need like a license and you can only do, but that would be quite cool, wouldn't it? To actually eat something that you've caught.
Yeah, because then you'll feel like better about yourself because you're the person that caught it and probably cooked it. I think
it's something cool to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
So is that possible, or is it absolutely like...
I mean, I think if you go sea fishing, then you could.
And is that a plan? Is that something you like to do?
Sea fishing, it depends because like you can have like really, really bad days and really, really good days with catching fish and also the weather. Because you can catch like loads of fish in one day and then the next day you catch like nothing.
Right.
It's a bit unreliable.
But then also you said, didn't you, that you quite like the nature, the relaxing of the fishing in a lake.
It's just sitting back in one of your little chairs on a deck of the boat and just having your rod out. It's really nice.
Have you ever had a time where you've had two of you have tried to reel something in when it's taken one or more? Like, I don't know if you were out with someone and you're like, help, this thing is pulling us away.
I don't think I have, no.
That would be a big fish, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be, yeah.
So is it true that some of the things that people do is the maggots? I don't know if it's true. I think my uncle used to do it, but I don't know if it's like a myth.
I don't like maggots.
They put them in their mouth to warm them up so they were more wriggly.
I've never done that. I don't want to do it. But like, if you freeze them or like put them in the fridge until they're like almost or practically dead, you have to just warm them up. But I think that is more of a myth. You put them in your mouth because I think what you have to do is just put it in your hands and then.
I hope it's a myth because that is rancid.
Yeah, I wouldn't ever do that.
I always thought somewhere somehow this myth that it makes them nice and warm and therefore wriggle more. So when they go in the water, the fish are like, oh.
I think the fish, they can't, because the water is normally really dirty. They can just see it a little bit. So when it does wriggle, then you probably.
So would you put one maggot on, or would you throw a lot of maggots in?
Oh, you have to bait the water, so you have to throw a few maggots in like every minute or so that you can keep the.
That's a good little definition. Bait the water.
Yeah,
it's very obvious what it means, but that's interesting. Never thought about that. Of course you do, because you want the fish to all be there, don't you?
Yeah, because like, if you throw more in, then the more will come around, but you can't throw too many in because then they won't get your one probably.
Yeah, the one that's on the hook.
Yeah, sometimes they can. If you have too thick of line, then they can see. Like,
so what's that mean? Too thick a line?
Like, you know the line that they use on the rod and that you chuck out.
So because someone like I haven't got a clue. So I always thought it was like one line, one reel, but you're saying there's different. It makes sense for weight, I guess.
Yeah, because also you can't just have like a really thin or a really low pound line and then try to catch a huge carp because it wouldn't work because it's too thin.
So you're saying that the fish sometimes could recognise the line and know not to go to that one?
No, they're like, they'd see it like in the water and they'd think, oh yeah, that's probably...
some wrong and trying to catch me.
Yeah.
Do you think they think they've got brains like that?
I don't know, but I do know that someone told me that once you catch a fish, then they won't eat for like a day or two because
Would
of
you
it.
if you had a big hook through your mouth?
Huh?
Would you if you had a big hook through your mouth?
I wouldn't eat for a few days, to be honest.
I'd be milking that one.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's quite just a funny thing to think, but if they are like, if they're just a bit more cautious in the future, if they remember, I know the joke about a goldfish is that it doesn't remember, does it? I wonder if it remembers that it was once caught on a hook. Next time it sees food, those are just think belly, food, feed me, and hooked again.
You do have to get like the food. You can't just have it floating in the middle of the water because then they'll be like, oh, it's on a line.
Yeah,
because
they're not daft.
No, they're not stupid, but they're not smart.
Right. So you have to just be careful. You got to bait the water.
Because they'd all fall to the bottom, wouldn't they?
So on your flies and stuff, do you go for like bright, colourful ones, or you're not too bothered?
I think I've never been fly fishing. I've just like seen it mainly, but I think mainly bright colours you'd want because you'd want to see it through the water, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, so much to think about. This is like, it's kind of blowing me head a little bit, Harley, because I just thought you'd sit on the bank, you'd throw a reel in, but actually there's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
So you think you'd ever get yourself into like competitions or anything, or is it not that kind of passion?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I might think about it in the future.
I think, since I've worked in our school, I'm sure Mr. Osley used to take people for like fishing competitions. You should ask him just to see if it's something you're interested in. You don't have to win, do you? It's just the taking part, isn't it?
Yeah.
But if you're something you're obviously really interested in, and clearly you are, it's really interesting. I might have to go and look a bit of fishing stuff up.
It's a really expensive hobby, though.
Is it?
Yeah.
How much is like a basic rod and stuff?
A basic.
So what would you need if I was going to start tomorrow? Tell me what I need.
It depends on what you'd want to do.
So I'm going to go and do the fishing you've done. So not fly fishing, just like sort of normal.
Normal, like put it in and wait.
Yeah, and I'll pull it out with my little reel.
So you'd want to buy a rod, or if you can, like a rod and reel setup with a line already on it, which would be cheaper than buying a rod, reel, and putting line on. And then you gotta get a bobber, weights, and hooks that may like. And you also need to learn how to either tie a knot, or you need to get like a swivel so you can put a hooped one that was already tied onto it, and then it's done. Okay,
so when you say hooks, is that the same lots of the same hook, or are there different shapes? And
well, it depends on what you can buy. Like you can get little packets of it, and it's size 10 or size 1s. It's like the smallest number is the biggest hook.
Okay. So depending on what you're hoping to catch, you obviously need a bigger hook.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you want to catch like a lot of fish, then you get like little hooks, like size 10.
So you could
14.
have on one line, you could have loads of hooks.
It's like if you want to get one that's already hooked onto like nylon, so it's already been tied to a line and it's just got a little hoop in it, then what you have to do is you just have to undo it, and then so you have the hoop, and then just put it on. But they mainly come in like 10 as well.
Okay.
Like 10 little hoops of thing for your hooks.
So is it possible, this might sound a silly question, but can you catch multiple at the same time?
You could if you had like, yeah.
Would that affect the sort of, that fight we were talking about earlier?
Yeah, I
like
mean,
trying to reel them in.
Because they could all go in different directions.
So like your rods are going everywhere. You'd probably lose a few, wouldn't you, I'd imagine?
Yeah, if you're doing that, then you'll probably be, like, you gotta have, like, putting up quick and have small fish on there.
Right.
Like, probably bait fish, because I see that a lot, and like, when people are fishing in the sea, they put lots of smaller hooks on, and they put it on, and then catch a lot of smaller fish.
So you're setting me up to go and do my first fishing this weekend. I've got my rod, I've got my reel, my line that's already on. What's the fish like? What's the most effective sort of bait, do you think?
You can get 3 different types of maggots. Yeah. So you can either get red, like pink ones, white ones, and yellow ones. And the main two is white and pink. But if you don't want to touch a maggot, which on my first time I didn't.
No. Well, so you do it now, but you didn't at the start.
Yeah. And I just used some bread and rolled it up and squeezed it so that the air would come out and just hook it.
Okay. Did that work?
Yeah. Yeah, it works very well.
Oh. So do you think, though, if I could do the maggots, that's effective? They sort of go for that, or do they prefer the bread, do you think?
It would be kind of like the same. So they'd like the bread and they'd also like the maggots. But if you want to catch like more predator fishes like perch and other like the smaller pike.
So describe a little bit about predator fish. What? Because you said I think of piranhas. Obviously, we're not talking about piranhas.
Yeah.
So there are sort of bigger fish within the lake that maybe eat the little fish.
I think the main ones are perch and sometimes like bream. They like maggots. Sometimes roach would eat one, but
Oh, I see. So that they're the ones who would go for the
maggots, yeah.
bait.
They're more of like a meat eater kind of.
Oh, that makes sense. So, is it possible that the fish could like eat the hook, not just in its mouth?
I don't think. No, it's not really. I mean, unless you have like your line cut off, or if it's just swallowed it without
So
biting.
just like proper swims on it, goes,
Yeah.
gulps this thing down.
But normally, if it has like swallowed it, but it's stuck in its like throat, you'd have to use like a scourger.
A scourger? What's a scourger?
A scourger is like a thing, like if the fish has swallowed the hook and it's got stuck in its throat, and you have to put it on the line, you have to reach all the way down its throat, you have to pull it out, and it's a bit.
So you pull its like guts and stuff out as well?
It doesn't go that far down, but that would be a bit. I don't think.
What, and that doesn't kill the fish?
What?
Describe it as if it was a human.
Oh, if I ate a hook and it got stuck in my throat, that would hurt.
So this scourger thing, would it just go like down the back of your throat?
And then it would like, you'd have to push it so that it like pulls out of it. And then you have to pull it to get back out the mouth.
Sounds like surgery.
Yeah.
Have you ever had to do that yet? Did you like it?
No.
Did the fish like it?
I don't think the fish liked it, to be honest.
I don't think so either. So, Harley, you've given me this list of things that I need to start fishing the weekend. And we'll just have a look at Argos, aren't we?
Yeah.
At some prices. So we found a £22 kids fishing set.
Yep.
6 foot. What's that mean, 6 foot?
A 6 foot rod is like a bit on the smaller side, to be honest. Normally you'd like aim for a big 7 sometimes if you want to.
So deeper waters, I suppose. Is that what it is?
I think it's more for like casting distance, because if you have it longer, then you can go further.
So a bit more of like a whippy sort of action.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you said there's a guy that you've got. There's loads of this Matt Hayes character.
Yeah.
Is he like the sort of?
Matt Hayes is a very big person for fishing.
Yeah, there's a set here for 130 quid. It looks like it's got 7 million things, nets, luminous green things, a little bag, the reel. What is that sort of metal clip thing that you move back and forth on the reel?
So whenever you have the reel, there's like a little dip on like the right or left, I don't know which one, but that's where the line goes in to stop it. And whenever you lift it up, that makes the line go free. So if you want to cast it, you got to lift the metal bit up, grab the bit of line, and as soon as you're about to chuck it out, just let go of it. Yeah.
Oh, so a bit like on a dog's lead, you know, those ones that extend. You press the button, it allows the dog to go off.
Yeah.
Right, otherwise, pull it back.
I mean, you can have a push button one that's like you push that and then.
Is that expensive?
Well,
that's less fun though, isn't it? That's taking away the.
There's two kinds of them. There's one that's just like fully covered, and then there's a big button, and there's another one that's like you have to press it, and then you have to keep your thumb on it, and it's really hard to control.
Yeah. I think I'd rather that sort of actual trying to do it. So for those of you watching on the YouTube channel, there is a picture now of what the
lures.
The lures.
Like, the ones that I have. And they're all like conjoined together.
So it's quite a long thing. It's quite good to see the picture of it, isn't it? Because it makes a bit more sense in what you're saying.
Yeah.
So what they would be like in the water?
Yeah, in the water.
Just bobbing away?
When I was at my nan's one time, it started raining like really, really bad. And in her garden, there was like a really big puddle. And I would never actually tested them in the water then. So I just chucked it in there and went. So
Well, that's cool. Just to see how it would work.
Yeah, see how it'd work. Because some of them have lips, so they go side to side.
Lips. That's just funny.
Yeah.
Oh, right. So back to my Argos.
Yep.
So this junior pole fishing set, 20 quid. All right for a start. If you take that up to Hunstanton and have a little play.
I mean, for a starter, yeah, it'll be pretty good.
So have you got a chair?
You don't really need like a really special
This
chair.
one here is £57 in Argos.
You can get one from Tesco's for like £15.
50, I think I definitely would. And then this thing I've just showed you, this CSB fishing station. It looks like some wheelchair thing.
Oh, yeah.
Where would you use that?
You'd use that more on the banks because you'd put like the sticks into the mud in the water.
Okay.
And then you just put your seat on there and you'd have your baits next to you and all your
So that's
rods.
quite professional then?
Yeah, that is.
So where would that happen? What kind of things would that happen in?
I mean, competitions mainly. I've mainly seen that at the Broads because that's where I mainly fish.
Okay. So when you're on the boat?
Yeah.
So we're looking at Argos because you're trying to kit me out for my first time fishing.
Yeah.
And when you said this was an expensive hobby, I see what you mean.
Yeah, it can get really expensive.
Like, why is there like sunglasses for fishing?
Oh, sunglasses. I have a pair of those, to be honest.
What's special about them?
You can see through the water, basically.
Wow.
If it's a different colour or the same colour to the water, you can basically see through it.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd have to get them, I think. Digital scales, do I need them?
If you really want to weigh the fish, then yeah.
Well, I'd need that in a competition, wouldn't I? But if it's just for fun, just for leisure. All right, so I'm about 380 quid from Argos so far.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
So do you reckon in your kits and everything you've got so far, do you reckon that's the kind of thing you've probably spent about, or a little bit more, or a little bit less?
I think a little less.
So you said you get presents and stuff. People buy you fishing stuff.
Yeah.
Do you ask for that for Christmas and things like that?
I've asked because I know my uncle, I kept on going on about fishing for pike, and he got me a rod a few days after.
Nice. I'm going to try that hinting actually.
Yeah, I was hinting to
a good hint is always good, isn't it?
I was like, oh, I really wish I had a fishing rod for pike. Then he bought one for me.
I'm going to try that for a couple of
Lego.
iPhones, some Lego.
Lego, yeah.
See, that'd be my thing. Every penny goes on Lego. So you said this thing at the start. The very first thing you said about this was that it's relaxing. You enjoy it. We've just had a bit of an interruption there, haven't we, from Mr. Knott, our geography teacher. And he's told us quite an interesting thing, hasn't he? What did he say about the NHS?
He said that the NHS has now put on the list that to help you feel calmer and to help with your mental health, fishing is one of the top ones.
So, it is relaxing. You can tell, can't you?
Yeah.
You can see that it is. But for the NHS to actually say that they're going to recommend fishing for people who've got some mental health issues, this episode might just, I reckon it's going to make a few people just think about it maybe.
Yeah.
I probably won't, but I promise you, Harley, from listening to you today, definitely I'm more interested in the idea of it.
Yeah.
And I actually can see, because I've got this weird idea in my head that it's gross, scales everywhere. And
I used to think that, you just sit there with a rod and do nothing, and occasionally you catch a fish.
But nice just to stop, just to relax in the quiet.
But the only problem with it is not only you get fishy hands and fishy smell on your hands, is that sometimes you can have days where you don't get a fish at all, or you get one fish or two fish, but other days, you can get loads and piles.
You gotta be patient and prepared, I guess.
Yeah.
What is your best ever, before we sort of draw this episode to a bit of a close, what's your best ever experience?
I think I've got about two. So one when I was at my granddad's, my other granddad, since he actually has like a river in his garden, and it goes all around his village. I've caught probably 20 there before.
Wow.
And when I was at the Broads one time, I was just putting my things in, and then I'd catch one every second. I'd
Really?
put it in, yeah. I couldn't even get any
couldn't
time
even-
to count.
So you can get time to relax either?
No, not really. I was just always like, I was starting to sit down. Oh, I've got another one. And just stick it in the bucket. And
So when you said put it in the bucket and they just sort of swim about in there for a bit?
yeah, but you can't keep it in there for too long because you need to like aerate the water.
And then throw them back in?
Yeah.
So even that's quite interesting. You've got to aerate the water? What does that mean?
That's expensive. You have to get a filter to make the water breathable for the fish because they can't actually breathe like in water. That it's aerated.
So it's going to need the oxygen in there.
Yeah.
Now you're adding to my costs now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Getting me up to £300 is enough. Now I need a filter as well.
Yeah.
I might just ask you how your fishing expeditions have gone in future. Is it fun being on a boat as well, though?
Oh, yeah. It is really fun being on a boat, especially when it's nice and sunny and you get to sit in the front deck. But the only problem is you can't fish off the back of a boat because it could get caught on a propeller or...
True.
Yeah.
So is it... Well, I suppose it's just as good, isn't it? They're going to be everywhere in the water, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, got these visions. We'll have to get some pictures. So what we'll do with this one is when we get some pictures, just edit this and add a few pictures onto the background of you with your biggest catch or your numbers. So what got you first interested into fishing? Where did you first get the idea?
One of my neighbours across the road, he was like really into fishing, so he's got like a lot. He's like one of the really serious ones. He does all that stuff and building and all like hands on everything. And what he did was he asked if he could take me down to like go fish down a river, somewhere quite close. And he bought one of his fishing poles. Like it's called a whip, but it's just a pole with no reel. You just stick a bit of line on the end, and then
Sort of
Indiana
Jones that into the water.
Yeah. And then it's a lot easier with a pole because you just have to pull it up.
Yeah, that sort of makes sense.
Yeah.
Without the fight so much.
Yeah. Because mainly with poles, you don't go for the really big ones. You go for like small ones, but also like medium ones.
Which is to get straight out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Who knew? Honestly, who knew? This episode, I genuinely was like, oh, fishing, nice. Some people do it. But there's a lot in this, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's a lot more to it. So thank you very much. Wonder what we can do if we can add to it a follow-up episode of maybe in the summer that you've gone away, and we'll do like episode 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
A bit more about a specific like trip you went on and what happened and how many you caught and things like that.
Yeah.
That'd be quite cool. Right. So thank you for this. Really interesting. And I like that it's a bit different. You know, it's not history as such, but that bit at the beginning was good.
Yeah.
And it doesn't surprise me in the slightest that the Chinese were efficient at this.
And also using bamboo because like they did have a lot of that stuff around them.
And that just keeps growing, doesn't it? And
Yeah.
that's renewable as well.
Yeah.
They were onto something, these Chinese people 4,000 years ago. But I'm still blown away with the idea of 40,000 years.
I know. It's dated back so long ago.
But then I'm saying that, but of course it has.
Yeah,
It's
they
like
need food.
Plentiful food, isn't it? That's what people will have eaten. Probably easier to catch fish than like
Animals, like
a woolly mammoth or something.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, right. So good stuff. And we look forward to episode 2 of your fishing diaries. Maybe you'll be off to the Broads probably in the summer. Do you go every year or?
Yeah, we're going this year. Yeah.
Nice. Well, we look forward to that with lots of pictures, please.
Yeah, I will.
Thank you very much, Harley. And for everybody else, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.